I think it's so depressing when figures like Dawn French put this stuff out because it's so sanctimonious and kind of patronizing about what is really a terrible tragedy for so many people. I think it shows either a complete ignorance of what's going on or more likely a complete disregard for what's going on. She tries to turn it into like a comedy skit, I suppose, on her ex. She is a comedian, so I understand that, when you're a hammer, every problem's a nail. But I think that if making mocking videos about this situation were the way to fix it, well, probably we'd be in a much happier world. Indeed, I would say that what Dawn French did here is utterly reprehensible. The idea that she did it by accident, as she sort of suggested in her apology, is also pathetic. She said that she didn't mean to sound one-sided, that she didn't mean to exclude condemnation of Hamas and what it did on October the 7th and since, and for many decades before. But of course, she did mean that. She planned this video. She planned what she'd say. She rehearsed it, perhaps. She maybe did more than one take of it. She watched it over before she uploaded it, just like any other sad old Instagram influencer. And I would say that that really shows what she truly meant to do. The fact that she apologized afterwards is because there was such a backlash. Perhaps she realized how stupid she looked, how insensitive it was. But the damage is done already. And I think that, others have said, even after this apology, you can still look at her profile and see which flags she chooses to put in her little description in her bio. There's no Israeli flag there. There's the PLO flag. I think that, again, shows the true intentions of what she wants to contribute to this.
And there's a Gary Lineker element to this, isn't there? Very, very outspoken now. They look at what they call the horror in Gaza, the Israelis, the evil Israelis and what they're doing. They're very, very outspoken now. Dawn French, along with Gary Lineker and so many other lovies from our celebrity community, after October the 7th, not a word, complete silence. Do you see a duplicity here, Jonathan?
Well, I mean, look, it is horrible to watch what's going on in Gaza. And to some extent, one has to look at it and think about the lesson that maybe Palestinian mainstream society and politics should learn, which is when you massacre other people and start a war, you can expect that you might suffer afterwards. Now, I'm not saying that means that everybody in Gaza deserves to suffer and that those who are caught up in this but aren't instrumental in that attack deserve any of what they're getting necessarily. But I am saying that it's not surprising that there is a war. It's not surprising that after what happened for decades, culminating in that horrific massacre on October the 7th, Israel went to war with the Palestinians in the Gaza Strip, with Hamas specifically, because after so many years of trying to live alongside them, of trying to minimize the rocket fire out of that region, of trying to live despite the constant indoctrination and education of children towards terror, hatred of Jews and the like. Eventually, they did have to act after hundreds of people were killed, raped, kidnapped, tortured, and that has just carried on. They still haven't got back all of the hostages. People are still dying in captivity. And there is starvation in Gaza. We know there is starvation in Gaza because the hungriest, most starving people we've seen are those Jews that Hamas released in those horrific pantomimes they staged when there was a ceasefire and they exchanged the hostages they took for Palestinian prisoners, many of them with blood on their hands, found guilty of terrorist acts. So I think that generally speaking, it's fine to have a lot of sympathy for people who are caught up in this. But at the same time, that is war. War is horrific. And the things that will speed up the end of this war are not the do-gooders, the lovies who come up with these really half-baked contributions, these mocking, jeering, patronizing videos and the like, and their pathetic demands. Because what needs to happen is Hamas, the jihadi terrorists, have to be absolutely defeated. If they're defeated, then the people of Gaza maybe stand a chance, I say maybe, of having better leadership that might then educate the next generation away from that kind of jihadi Jew hatred, that bloodthirstiness inspired by Islamic extremism. And then maybe there is a prospect for the two Israelis and Palestinians to live, coexist peacefully side by side. That's a lot of maybes. The first part that really needs to happen is that they need to absolutely eliminate, have absolute victory
Well, I
over
think that's what's
an
happening.
activist.
That's what's happening, and that's what the Dawn Frenches of this world. Indeed, that was what Hamas can't understand. That in the past, Hamas have relied, in my view, on the usual system, which, yes, there's always a very, very stringent response to their acts of terror. But then it dies down and then everything, the dust settles and everything goes back to normal. Well, this time, for better or worse, Israel has said, no, not this time. We're going to finish the job. You know, you are not getting away with us just laying down our weapons before the job is done. So that is what's going on. Why do you think, Jonathan, that so her ridiculous apology, did she mean it when she said sorry? No, she didn't. But she says, I'm so sorry. I clumsily used a mocking tone in saying, in an effort to convey, and I quote, an important message. Yeah, because I was a bit confused about what's going on in Gaza, and I was saying, where are the middle-aged British comedians, the middle-aged middle-class comedians, to tell us what we should be thinking? Because that's what we look to people like Dawn French for, isn't it? Important messages about the conflict in the Middle East. Well, the Olympian self-importance of this is off the scale, isn't it?
Of course it is. I have to say, you know, many people love Dawn French's comedy. I'm not such a fan myself, but she is somebody that's made a career out of it, and a very successful one. So I don't take that away from her, but I don't look to clowns and comedians for analysis of complex geopolitical situations. But against the backdrop of rising anti-Semitism, which has really been spurred on by this unbridled hatred of Israel, the Jewish state, trying to protect its people from anti-Semitic jihadi killers, I think that this can't be looked at ignoring that. The world she lives in is one where presumably Jewish people she knows are having the same conversations I'm having and hearing week in, week out from other Jews, which is how much longer have we got left in this country with two-tier policing where they don't arrest people who are calling Jews baby killers or who are calling for jihad on the street, or where Jewish schools are not properly protected, where we see people around the world being literally killed in America or elsewhere for being Jewish, where we basically hear Jewish people saying they don't feel looked after and protected.
Jonathan, she doesn't have any. She doesn't have any friends like that. She lives in a groupthink world where they all think the same, and they're in their groupthink world, their simplistic binary groupthink world. It goes like this: Palestine, good; Israel, bad. That's her philosophy. That's what these people are like. Same for Lineker, all the rest of them. Quickly, let's talk about Greta, if we may. I mean, frankly, it's beneath contempt what they were doing. And the only thing I'd sort of like to say to Greta Thunberg is, look, you've got to grow up. If you must do these protests, don't go to war zones. You know, this is grown up territory, and there's no room for little children like you. I mean, I say that she's 23 now or something. Look at her. It's unbelievable, playing Titanic. She's got to, I mean, go and protest elsewhere. Don't do this.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad she had a nice Mediterranean boat holiday with the sort of normal level of worship of Saint Greta that she's used to and publicity. But as you say, this is a very serious situation. And actually, this doesn't do anything to help people in Gaza. And she and all the other idiots on that boat knew it. They are self-publicists who are out to try and virtue signal to the world. This was a theatre of performative virtue signalling. They knew that even if they did get through to Gaza, they wouldn't be very safe. But even if they were, the amount of aid they brought on that boat was less than one truck. Whereas Israel has actually navigated this very complex situation where Hamas is stealing the aid, keeping it away from ordinary people in Gaza, selling it in order to carry on financing their war effort against Israel. They found a way around that is now starting to bear fruit, to provide aid for free to as many people as they can in Gaza. What on earth did Greta think her boatload of rice and tampons and crutches was going to do? It wasn't, as I said, as much as one truck. And Israel has committed to taking the aid they did bring, transferring it through the port of Ashdod in Israel and putting it in through the normal channel. So they could have just raised some money and sent some aid if they'd wanted to. But of course, they wouldn't have got all the selfies and the adulation from their own friends and the other virtue signalers around the world. All I can say is that one picture of Greta that they released, grinning with a little bucket hat on as they gave her a pastrami sandwich. I think she's a vegan. I think that picture says it all and should bring down this whole myth of Saint Greta, this ridiculous woman child. And she is a woman now. She has no excuse of being a child. She just needs to move on, get over it. The world needs to stop paying attention to her, ignore this sort of sick stunt.
You know why she did it, though, Jonathan, don't you? I mean, this is the when she was a sort of teenager, she predicted that by 2023, the end of the world would have happened, that humanity will have been destroyed by the climate change emergency. So she's still reeling from the disappointment of that prediction not coming true. So she's moved on from climate change.
She's a champion of the omni-cause.
Yeah, exactly right. Rent-a-cause. And of course, exactly. Where do all rent-a-cause protesters end up? Supporting Palestine. It's always
Israel, actually.
Well, yeah. And as I say, they live in a world where it goes like this: Palestine good, Israel bad. Well, I kind of don't think that Israel is bad. Some of us are still standing with Israel. Thank you so much, Jonathan. Always a pleasure to talk to you. Jonathan Sacerdoti there, writer and author. Big piece in the Spectator about Greta and Dawn French. What do you think?